All right, so today we're just walking around the beautiful property here, as you can kind of see behind me. Um, but we just want to talk a little bit about manifestation and kind of what our experience has been with it. And yeah, just some of the basics. Like, there's a lot of books and stuff by kind of older people, but us being 22 and what 22 and here, let's go down this way. 22 and
21. I'm 21.
yes, 21.
Yes.
We just wanted to talk about like manifestation and what it's kind of meant for us and um what it is even. Do you want to start off? Like, what would you consider manifestation is?
Well, I think manifestation is something. I think it's the way that life works, whether you're conscious of it or not. I think everyone, everyone manifests.
Right?
So basically, I guess what Tristan means is you can become conscious of that process,
Yeah, that's very true. That's what I
and
meant.
then you can consciously create your life instead of unconsciously create your life.
Right.
Because you're creating your life and your reality, whether you're aware of it or not.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's the first step, is kind of being aware that every single thing that you do, you attract. And so a lot of teachers, spiritual teachers, say this is like one of the very first things, which is taking full responsibility for everything in your life. Um, you all should check out Sadhguru. He's really awesome. Um, what was it that he said? He explained taking responsibility. You are able to respond to everything in your surroundings. Um, but that doesn't mean, it has nothing to do with blame. But the second you take responsibility, you're able to do something and you're empowered versus being a victim of circumstance. And so that's kind of the first step that a lot of spiritual teachers and people teaching manifestation and that kind of stuff will talk about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is like taking responsibility.
Yeah, you have no power and no control if you're not responsible for something, and your ego likes that. Your ego likes not being responsible because then it's like it's not your fault or you're not to blame or something, and it's somebody else's
Right.
fault, and you're able to get away with a lot more if you're not responsible, right? But at the same time, you're powerless. You're powerless to
Right.
guide your life and to change a situation that might not be optimal. Like Tristan was saying, like when you take responsibility for something, you have the power to influence, not just influence, but to directly shape your life. And even if it's something that wasn't technically your fault, if you take responsibility for any situation, you have the power to influence it.
Right.
And that's always better than not having responsibility, even though the mind likes to, like, the ego likes to believe that responsibility is equal to blame, like Tristan was saying.
Exactly.
And it's
That's the trap.
right. And you have to get out of that trap. You have to realize
Right.
that taking responsibility, you should take responsibility for everything in your life. Everything, whether it's your fault or not. Um, you should take responsibility for it because ultimately it's your life. And the second you're not responsible for something, that means that someone else or something else is controlling your life, whether it's an external situation or another group of people or um, anything that's not you, basically. The second that you're not responsible, something outside of you is controlling your life. And
Right.
frankly, I don't know why anyone would want that. It's not, obviously, when you see it that way, it's not something that you'd choose, but you have to realize that regaining that control starts with taking responsibility.
Yeah. So taking responsibility is step one, and and then kind of when you get into the manifestation, one of my favorite books was by Jerry and Esther Hicks called Money and the Law of Attraction. And it's amazing because you start going into quantum physics and quantum entanglement, and this stuff like really started making sense to me as I learned from many teachers, and kind of cross referenced a lot of the stuff, and finding out that all these amazing people, from millionaires and successful entrepreneurs to spiritual teachers, are all tapping into the same field. Oh, here's Joseph, cutie. Um, are all tapping into the same quantum field that we all live in. and operate in, and it is the energetical slash potential slash field, cosmic field, whatever you want to call it, that affects um, material objects. So, like, let's say, like, really shallow now. Um, a lot of people obviously want to manifest money. Okay, I'm not saying that shallow, but I'm thinking of like something like, um, whatever. Let's say it's like a car you want to drive or a home you want to buy or whatever. Um, Many people are striving for these things, and um, your work in this kind of energetical field can attract matter. So whether that's like a house or a Lamborghini or a certain relationship, like your perfect partner or whatever, to this cosmic field, nothing is too big or too small. I think Jerry and Esther Hicks said that actually, but basically that like in the greater scheme of things and like from the point of view of this energy, it doesn't matter whether you want a I don't know, a toy truck or a
Dream job or
right, anything like
yeah.
that. It's the potential of this energy is so vast. So like practically, what does this mean? Like, what do you do to manifest things you want, right? Um, Obviously, the first step is taking responsibility for everything. The second step is understanding that that there's kind of this process of first things take are created in the energetical field, and then they are manifest in the physical
And
realm.
how you apply that practically is realizing that your thoughts and emotions and the energy that you generate is that energetic field that Tristan's talking about. So if you want to manifest something in the physical world, you first have to manifest that blueprint in your energy field, in your emotions with your thoughts. So you have to feel emotions that are congruent with the reality that you want to attract.
So it's not like, oh, poor me, like, and a lot of people fall to this, and so have we. Like, it's like, oh my God, why is everything going wrong? And like, if you've noticed those people, like, it seems like everything just goes wrong for them. Like, they lose their house, and then their boyfriend breaks up with them, and then they lose their job, and you'll start to realize the pattern that after one bad thing happens, then they generate a lot of more bad thoughts, and the results they're getting is justifying their thoughts. It's like, yeah, look, bad things happen to me. And so then they're just attracting more of that, and the cycle just goes kind of on a downward spiral like that. But in that same light, you can also follow that to an upward spiral where you have good thoughts, good feelings. Like you're feeling like you're already having that dream job. You're feeling like every day when you check your bank account, you imagine that you have that amount of money. And it's not wishful thinking. Like this is where kind of it gets tricky because it's not like
It is wishful thinking, but what he means is it's not like it's not what do you call it, like you're not fooling
you're
yourself.
not
it's
yeah,
not
you're
it's not
yeah.
about fooling
No, it's
yourself.
not about
it's not
fooling.
it's not about delusion. It's not about being delusional.
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to truly feel it. And it's amazing. This stuff works, and it's worked for me in times where it's like the craziest things. Like I mean, it worked for getting me basically like my dream car about a year ago. Um I was literally blown away like that it worked. Like it was amazing. And people could say, "Oh yeah, well, it's just random or whatever." But when you start seeing how it lines up and how it works every time, um, you'll see and realize the true potential of it. So go check out some books by Jerry and Esther Hicks. Um, Dr. Joe Dispenza is really good for this kind of stuff too. So just, I don't know, what would you say the main tips are just living in that reality that you want, living in it now, and just staying positive and not having a victim mentality.
And making sure that your thoughts, feelings, and emotions are all aligned, because um, you need to really know yourself. I'd say really know yourself
Right.
is the first and foremost step is to know yourself. A lot of people,
How do
for
you get to know
example-
yourself?
for example, a lot of people might wish they had money, and that's their thoughts, right? I think I wish I wanted more money or whatever. But if you really look deep and if you really search and get to know yourself, a lot of people don't want to have a lot of money because that implies responsibility.
Right.
Right? So like things like that you have to dig deeper to really find out, and that begins by just knowing yourself. And the way you begin to know yourself is beginning by observing yourself. You have to observe yourself
Oof, it's
as
starting
if
to
you're
rain.
a third person, and just take observations, take notes, and you'll start collecting a database, and pretty quick
Yeah.
you'll get to know things about yourself that you never knew
It's
before, and that's
amazing.
definitely the first step, is to really
Yeah.
know yourself.
And I'd say that, here, let's move out of the rain. It's starting to rain. We're here in Southern California. We kind of got a storm. But the first step to knowing yourself is, I would say, like, cut out a lot of the crap that you're, like, wasting your time on. Like social media and TV and all this kind of random stuff that's just cluttering your mind. You need to kind of get rid of that before you can get to know yourself. So kind of simplify your whole life, and then find a few teachers, whether it's on YouTube or books or whatever, that are truly aligned with what you want and that feel right for you.
Read books and meditate.
All right, it's raining. We're going to head out.
Bye.
Bye.